Code blue. Code blue. Sala blue. Where you there now? Where you
The
there?
country is in a disaster.
Emergency. 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 Ah, the country is in the disaster. Oh.
Who they rule this country?
I tell you, stop worshiping the politicians. They are all liars.
What are you talking about? Which politicians are liars?
All of them. Obi is a liar. Tinubu is corrupt. Atiku is very willing to. All of them.
Don't argue with me. This is my show. Okay? This is my show. I don't allow anybody to defend my show. This is my show. Okay? You can get the heck out of this room. Baba, this is my show. Get the heck out of this room. I don't have to.
I am saying it categorically. All of them are liars. All of them are thieves. Abba!
Code blue. Sala blue. Where you there now? Where you
The
there?
country is in a disaster.
Emergency. Ah, the country is in the disaster. Oh.
Who they rule this country?
I tell you, stop worshiping the politicians. They are all liars.
What are you talking about? Which politicians are liars?
All of them. Obi is a liar. Tinubu is corrupt. Atiku is very willing to. All of them. Okay?
Don't argue with me. This is my show. Okay? This is my show. I don't allow anybody to defend my show. This is my show. Okay? You can get the heck out of this room. Baba, this is my show. Get the heck out of this room. I don't have to.
I am saying it categorically. All of them are liars. All of them are thieves. Abba!
Did you stone? Why they go stone soldier now? Okay. Thank God for video. Okay. No run for your life. You don't set. Okay. Hey, why they go stone soldier now? Oh man, don't go lose guard yourself, oh. Don't go lose guard yourself, oh. Gaskiya tudun wanda karshe ne. Uba. Kalajibo. Ba ka mutum wada. Bura uwaita. Kai. Wallahi gariya ne. Jiba ba wuro. Tudun wada karshe ne. Bura uba. stone. Why they go the stone soldier now? Okay. Thank God for video. Okay. No run for your life. You don't set. Okay. Hey, why they go the stone soldier now?
Yeah, this is crazy. This is really crazy. This is really crazy. Well, I'm sorry, guys. I think I've spoken now for almost 30 minutes before I realized that my mic is not
Why they go
working.
to stone soldier now? Okay.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
Thank God for video. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
The video you are watching, this video you are watching are Nigerians who are actually clamoring for military to take over. Okay? They want the military to take over. Wọ́n lọ́mọdé ó mẹ́la, olóhùn mẹ́la kátákátá láì mọ̀ pé ẹ̀la kátákátá o. Ọba ìjà ni, ọba ìjà bàbá ńlá kú catastrophe. See, I will translate that. It only means that a child who is venturing into a child's play will not know that a child's play or a play fight can actually turn out to a war. Okay? These children, they are only planning for play fights. You know what kids call play fight? But they would never envisage that a play fight will turn out to become a real punch, real fight. That is the meaning of that song. Wọ́n lọ́mọdé ò mẹ́la, olóhùn mẹ́la kátákátá, láì mọ̀ pé ẹ̀la kátákátá. Ọba ìjà, ọba gídígbò. You see, these fools on the street are asking for military to take over. Now you want to ask, why wouldn't they wait for the soldiers when being pursued? Watch. You want military to take over now. And then you throw stone to one of the military wagon. Wait for them.
Stone soldier now.
I don't know.
Okay.
You want military to take over. Wait for them now.
Thank God for video. Okay.
Why don't wait for them?
No run for your life.
Abi no run, no. Wait for the military.
You don't set. Okay. Okay.
Look, it's not a laughing matter. You know, but it just goes to show the essence of my song once again. Wọ́n lọ́mọdé ò mẹ́la, olóhùn mẹ́la kátákátá láì mọ̀ pé ẹ̀la kátákátá o. Bàbá ìjà ni. You guys don't know nothing. You are like children who want to engage in play fights. And at the end of the day, play fights now turning to become a real fight. Real war. You are asking for the military to take over, and then you can't wait for the military to deal with your back. You can't wait for the military to oboko, lie your back, and see what you will they talk. How many of you out there has actually felt the brunt of koboko? That whip they do with the Irueshi. When they whip you that thing lie in your back. How many of you remember how it felt? You want the military to take over. Wait for them to bulala you with koboko now. And then you will know how it feels to be under military reign. Yeah. These kids no sabi nothing. These Gen Z kids, they don't know shit. I'm being serious, okay? This is coming from a man in the classroom teaching from all the way from elementary to high school and to college, in which in Nigeria we call university level. That most of these Gen Z that have actually met one-on-one Smart people, brilliant, but nothing is in their head because they like to fill their heads in these days with uncredible things, things that are unreliable, things that are unfactual. That's what they fill their heads with these days. When you tell them the obvious, they give you middle finger. They tell you you're too old. Go and sit down somewhere and retire. Before you start this particular protest, I, Sala Blue, warned you. I warned you seriously. Don't do it. Don't do it. I have my reasons. But what do you do then? You told me to shut up my mouth. You gave me middle finger. Eh? All these kids giving Agbalagba middle finger. Mi ò fẹ́ fẹ́ nu mi ṣépè ni o. Kò dáa kí ẹ máa fẹnu ẹ̀ ṣépè fáwọn ọmọ yìí. You know? Tí yín máa dá èyí náà sì lọ́jọ́ ọ̀la. You go better for una. We cannot say the other way around. Sometimes when Agbalagba like me talk to you, listen. Because I've been around for a while. On the street, in the classroom, I'm all over the place. I'm not the type of person that shy away from life itself. I am an adventurist, and I took upon a lot of adventure. The ones you would never believe your average lecturer in the classroom have taken upon. I, Salabu, have been there. And when I warned against this particular protest, not because I do not want us to challenge this current government, not because I am against protest, unlike some of these guys on the popular face of Arise News, like Rufai Oseni, who are charging you to go ahead and protest peacefully. I knew there's nothing peaceful that will be about this protest. It's easy for me to stand with you guys because that's what you want to hear. It's much easier. You know, if I want to gain fans today, it's the easiest thing to do to start lying to you like every other fools out there do. But I'm not going to do that. My platform will never be about attacking the government alone. It will also be about correcting what we do, how we approach our grievances. And I told you from the outset, the leaders of this protest are nameless, faceless. And when you have a faceless, nameless leading a protest, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. I warned you then that a lot of bad agents are behind these particular protests. You don't listen? Watch this. Who in the world among you guys envisage that we will have Nigerians flooding the street with Russia flags? Who among you saw this coming? Did you see it? I did see this coming. I'll tell you why. Because this has happened in several places around Africa where there were protests. Russia is trying to establish itself by all means to become the world-recognized power, sole power, trying to take over by all means from the United States. And I told you guys, beware, because agents that you do not understand will take over this process and actually turn it against itself. The mission is supposed to be a peaceful protest for hunger. Explain how this is a protest for hunger in Nigeria. When, as it is, Russia already took over, hijacked the protests, from Sowore, from Adeyanju, or from any one of those fools who are leading this thing. It's no longer in their hands. Russia have taken over as expected. I believe it. Russia is not about making peace reign in Nigeria. They want to disrupt Nigeria. They want these kids who are ignorant of what they do to go on the street and destroy and damage things. And so they will now swoop in as the angel saving Nigeria. Imagine, at the end of the day, if we have to find ourselves bowing to the same element who causes war in Nigeria to save Nigeria. Just imagine that. That's why I said earlier that you fools have no idea where this is going. But I've seen it. And I keep saying, enough. Maybe there will be another day, but not today. Don't do this. Russia plan from the outset is to start chaos, to destroy infrastructure. As a matter of fact, they wanted to do this in Lagos. Lagos State governor and government get things in order, in absolute control, and make sure they phased out all the elements. But not all the states in Nigeria were successful in doing the same. And that was why things got out of hand in Kano, even in Abuja, in Borno, in Nasarawa, in Sokoto, in all these northern parts, things got out of hand. Believe me, if people took to the streets in the east, it would be messy. They did themselves a big favor by not coming out. Because if they did, it will be worse. IPOP will mess things up for everybody in the East. The best they have done for themselves is to stay indoor. And yes, most places in the West got these protests in order. But what happened in the North? When Omoyele Sowore was yelling revolution now, right from foreign country, he wasn't even here throughout this particular protest. Did this fool envisage that Russia would take over that protest? Well, he was warned by people like me and some other people who were able to contact him directly. But he didn't listen. No, he didn't care. He was calculating money that will come in through merchandise that he's about to sell, through the publicity, how he's going to cash in. That is his priority. And you fools, you follow like sheep. You follow like zombies. You could care less what it is he's saying or he's after, as long as he has grievances and he's talking about hunger, and you think he's all about hunger. But him and his family, his kids, were right there in the United States disrupting Nigeria. You will expect him, at least, Omoyele Sowore, to come to Nigeria during this protest. And none of you fools, none of you, ask why he stayed away. He has never shied from protests in the past. Why this one? He has been in the forefront of protests in the past. Why this one? Because he knew all along that this would be messy. He couldn't care because he has to cash in. He has to cash in at your expenses. Bereavement. He couldn't care. That money is just too good to look away from. And there you have it. Wọ́n lọ́mọdé ò mẹ́la, ó lóun mẹ́la kátákátá, láì mọ̀ pé ẹ̀la kátákátá. Ọba ìjà ni, babaláku chaos. When a child or children is planning to engage in a play fight, they do not realize that play fights usually turn out to become war. And I told you then, I hate these stats. Like, I really hate this particular status of being the one to say, I told you so. But really, I told you so. That these particular protests, this particular one, is just exceptional. Everything about it smells. Everything about it stinks. It will get out of hand. Imagine very dark man. He didn't listen to people like me then. Oh, he was charging his listeners. Go out and protest peacefully. Peacefully, under coat. But I said then, no, there's nothing peaceful that is going to come out of this. But he didn't listen then. And suddenly, 2 days after the protest, he started screaming at the top of his lungs, please, guys, stop, we can't do this, flying Russia flag in Nigeria, we can't do this, stop, they are burning houses, they are looting their stores. Imagine. That is why I said these Gen Zs, this generation of so-called Gen Zs, however, how smart they are, how brilliant they are, how woke they are often woke on the wrong side of the bed. When Agbalagba, like me, try to reset their head into the right side of their bed so that they woke on the right side of the bed, what do? They give us middle finger. Middle finger for Adurumi, Agbalagba. But for the goodness of what I believe in, I would rather say it go better for una. It go better for una. Because I believe strongly you are the leaders of tomorrow. Kids, it go better for una. That's all I can say. But you are being misled too often. You kids are being misled too often. I wish you guys are redirecting the way you think or who actually lead your path. Because some of these packs are being led by greedy fools who are no different from the government you are fighting. You think Omoyele Sowore really cares? You think Omoyele Sowore is going to be different from this government of the day? I tell you what, I wish he has power. And you see what I'm saying? Fidel Castro, when he took over in Cuba, everybody loved the guy. What a revolutionary idea he brought in to take over Cuba. Did anyone of you remember how it ended up for Fidel Castro? He even became worse than the leaders he challenged. Authoritarian, dictator, everything in the book that goes against the will of the people, he became, eradicating and assassinating all his oppositions. Those who escaped, flee to America. That is what Fidel Castro, after that revolution in Cuba, became at the end of the day. Nightmare for his people. A nightmare for the Cubans. So when I tell you, some of the guys who lead your pack right now are no different, believe it. Believe it. I will give you a typical example. Most of you know Rufai Oseni in Arise News, right? Rufai Oseni on Arise News is usually the voice of some of you because you like the way he antagonizes the government, the way he attacked the government, even though it's by choice. He only antagonizes a certain set of political power, but then he celebrates the other set of political power. And if you are a true activist, you can't pick and choose. You have to make sure you see it all, antagonize every one of them all, not celebrate a dancing governor and then chastise the Senate president because he's celebrating a big birthday. You know what I mean? Whenever the Osun State governor do his things, dancing around like a fool instead of actually taking care of his state, you literally see Arise News celebrating that, thinking it's funny. But when Akpabio lavishly spent Nigerian money on the big birthday ceremony, they were there chastising him. Do you imagine yourself listening to fools who call themselves activists, the voice of the people, chastising one politician who was celebrating a big birthday ceremony and the other politician who dance around, they celebrate? And you see that as not bias? You think they really care about you? You think fools who do that care about you? If you really believe that Rufai Oseni care about you populace on social media, you must be the biggest deluded fools online to believe that a so-called news reporter on Rise News who promotes a dancing governor but chastise another one who is the Senate president because he celebrates a party, a birthday party. For a true activist who is unbiased, these two fools are no different. If you became the Senate president and you lavishly spend in a whole stadium, for me, you are no different from a fool who dances around instead of actually fixing problem in his state. You were supposed to fix the problem of your state. You got billions of money from the federal government to issue out palliative, but the state got nothing. But to see you dance, who freaking care about how much you can make your fat butt? About how much you can move around with your fat butt? Who cares? Nigerians want that fat butt to sit and do something that can benefit regular Nigerians. So this is what I'm saying. If you really believe Rufai Oseni got your back as people, you must be completely deluded. Because a guy like that who chastised Akpabio for celebrating in a big stadium should not be the same person laughing and celebrating a governor because he knows how to dance. For God's sake, when was the last time we started electing anybody to do a show off of his dancing feet? This is moronic. You guys would never face the reality of what you gullibly eat up on social media. And talk about Omoyele Sowore. He's got several warnings that these particular protests will turn out ugly. That some invisible agents are about to take over that protest, namely Russia, who are trying to use Nigeria's chaotic situation to their advantage. They really want to cause war, as in cause war in Nigeria. They want things to shut down, destroy people, destroy property, so that at the end of the day, they will swoop in as the angel who saved Nigeria. Just imagine how foolish we are to follow this trend and fall into the trap of Russia, who will literally destroy everything we have already, and then swoop in like they are our angels, saving us. You are falling for things you do not understand, guys. These Russia agents mail all the guys on the social media every day to template what they want happen. And most of them get paid. Some of us reject this. Because what we stand for is Nigeria to be well known and among all nations, to be the top countries, not just in Africa, but in the world. Celebrate Nigeria, marketize Nigeria. That is patriotism. The marketizing Nigeria, that is unpatriotic. I don't care who you believe to be the right president for Nigeria. I don't care who you fight for. Your ultimate goal should not be to fight for a human, but to fight for the country, Nigeria. You lose Nigeria, you lose it all. You lose Nigeria, you lose it all. And that is why I really would have wished that many of us who are just following these trends just open their eyes and wake up and see that some people out there are just fooling around, deceiving you, completely deceiving you in order to be able to make more money for themselves, make more fame for themselves. They will never tell you the truth because they know there's no way this truth can actually fully liberate you. Zone 2, in this quote, says, an evil man will burn his own nation to the ground to rule over the ashes. Burn his own nation to the ground. As long as he rules over ashes, he can care less. Some of these fools don't really care that Nigeria survive. They just want to be the top person in the country by all means necessary, even if it means burning down Nigeria to the ashes. And you follow them blindly. You follow them blindly. This fool, Omoyele Sowore, contested in Nigeria election twice, believing because he has 1 million followers on social media, suddenly everybody in Nigeria knows you. When he first ran against Buhari, I said nobody knows him, period. It can be all the names in the lips of everybody on the social media. Nobody in Nigeria knows him. Most people who participate on social media activity in Nigeria are not even in Nigeria. And they don't vote. Real people who vote in Nigeria have no access to social media. They don't know a shit going on the social media. Less than 3% of Nigerians who are in Nigeria are active on social media. When I say active, they come online daily, or at least 4 times on a weekly basis. That is less than 3%. of Nigeria. Who participates on social media? Omoyele Sowore have about 1 million followers on X, on Twitter. They are not Nigerian. They're not all Nigerians. Most of these followers come from the US, the UK, people who are not even Nigerians. I'm not talking about people who are Nigerians living abroad. No, some of them are not even Nigerians. They just love the guy. I have followers all over the world who are not Nigerians. They don't have to be. And does that mean that every time I try to change things in Nigeria and talk to Nigerians, that Nigerians are actually listening, and suddenly they're going to turn out and vote for me? That's not how it works. And I told the obedient back then too that, look, this is all noise on social media. Nobody really know Peter Obi beyond the East. And it was obvious that he didn't win enough in the North. But yet, you people keep saying that he won the election, as if none of you know how to actually calculate simple mathematics. If you don't win up to at least 25% in the northern part of the country, in most states in the northern part of the country, and you win everything in the West, you win everything in the East, you still cannot become the president of Nigeria. If you do not win at least 25% in each state in the North. Basic maths. Basic maths. There's no shortcut to that. You must at least be able to win at least 25% in each state from the northern part. 25% is not much. It's not much. And you don't even have to win 97% in the East. Just win the East. Maybe 50%, 60%. Win the West. Score about 40% in some places in the West. And then pick up 25% in the North. That's it. You're on your way to the presidency. Nobody in the North knew Peter Obi. That's why you see him in recent time traveling to the North for photo ops. A cry after the head is already off. Too late. Because he should have done all that before the election. He was counting on the fact that he have Daddy, who is an unpopular figure in the North. Don't forget that the election was against a man from Nasarawa, from the North, Atiku, who everybody believed will clear up all the states in the North. It's fine you want to challenge Tinubu in the West, in the East, but can you really challenge Atiku in the North with a party as small as Labour Party that has no representation in the North, has no boots on the ground anywhere in the North? They were nowhere to be found. No agents. What is wrong with you guys? It's a simple mathematics. You want to win somewhere, at least you got to have agents who knock on doors. Not on social media. Please stop deluding yourself that you can win votes on X. Nobody knows X in Nigeria. Real Nigerians don't have access to social media. You have to go on ground and knock on doors. That is how you win votes. This same Tinubu that you guys thought actually rigged the election has been parading the northern part of the country for years. He didn't just start. He literally has hands in making sure that many of the governors in the northern part of the country today became governors. The northerner knew him for a very long time. Just like they knew Abiola then. Just like they also knew Awolowo. Just like they also knew Azikwe. These leaders don't just limit themselves to a particular section of the country or some meager followers on online and simply believe that they will win Nigerian election through that. There's no way that is going to happen. You need presence on ground, agents, boots all over the country, literally knocking on people's door to sell your ideas. And this Labour Party didn't have. Yes, they make all the noise on social media, make all the noise on the TV in the West, in the East. But they deludedly believe that ignoring the northern part of the country will give you a seat in the presidency. That's foolish. That's just stupid. And at the end of the day, even after not doing enough to win the northern part of the country, these deluded fools still believe that they won the election. And this whole protest is not far from them believing that they can change the government through a hunger protest. And I keep saying, this protest is already messed up from the start. The moment you are asking for a switch in government, you already kill your idea. The idea of the protest is already lost. The moment one of you faceless fools actually added switching Nigerian government. Because to regular man on the street, they understand perfectly well this is not about switch of government. They are smarter than you believe. People on grounds are smart. In fact, village people in Nigeria are much, much smarter than people in the urban setting in Nigeria. Believe it or not, I have the opportunity to talk to literally regular Nigerians who live in the village. And what comes out of their mouth is much smarter than what these fools spew online, thinking that they are smart. Ordinary Nigerians who live in the village have access to real information than you guys are. And that is why you always see that when you speak in one certain volume, it's completely different from what the country is actually saying. Most Nigerians who really want to go to the street and protest, sincerely want to protest hunger. Most Nigerians sincerely want to protest hunger. Believe it. But very little among us, those deluded idiots who are stuck up in their own room, in their own cave, on social media, are perpetrating the idea of a change in government. Some losers in the last election who are pushing these ideas, Atiku included, Peter Obi included, Omoyole Sowore especially. And I know from the outset, the moment you start injecting this foolishness of a change in government, the whole premises of the protest, which is to protest against hunger, is completely lost. And I warned them, maybe tomorrow, but not today. And I remind every one of you, if I will be, call on Forunke, has been the face of protest in Nigeria several times. Even Oshiomhole, even Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the guy you are against today, has been face of protest in the past. But every time these guys organize protest, you wonder why it is usually peaceful. Even during the military regime, why are they able to successfully protest peacefully. I told you then, it is simply because you need a recognizable face to lead a protest in Nigeria, to speak directly to the people so that they listen. I even go as far as lending hand to some of you to call on Peter Obi to take up the mantle and be the face of this particular protest. Even though I know that coward is not man enough to lead any protest. Yes, be angry. I don't care. Peter Obi is not man enough to lead protest in Nigeria. The onus is upon him to prove me wrong. He is not man enough to lead protest in Nigeria. If he can do it, please challenge me, because your people need your voice in front of a protest. And that is why, one of the reasons why I called on Peter Obi to take up that mantle then and lead this particular protest is because that will be recognizable, that will be respected, and the military and the police will restrain themselves at all costs to do anything silly. You don't want to be shooting people when you have an opposition party leading the protest. You know what that means? Do you know what that means? So by all means, they do not want to give a credence to an opposition party to become the hero. They will fall back. And with the face of Peter Obi addressing the nation to be peaceful, they will listen. I believe his people will listen, unless they don't. And that means if he cannot control the obedient, who tells you he's not able to control the country? And I encourage Atiku Abubakar to do the same then. At this protest, don't leave it to the hands of these kids. They know nothing. And in order for these protests to be reputable, to be recognized, to have a stamp of authority behind it, they need faces like that to lead the protest. I called on Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi to lead that protest, and do not leave it in the hands of Sowore, who stayed in the foreign country and be charging the country to shut itself down. But you guys did not listen. You gave me middle finger for even asking Obi to lead the protest. I saw many messages that come on my commentary. Because like I said, this Gen Z is a know-it-all group for empty-headed. I can see this, smell this from miles away, that it will be a catastrophe. And I told you so. Any one of you imagine or envisage crowd flooding the streets of Nigeria with Russia flags? Even before the protest, I knew Russia is one of the agents that is inciting that particular project. Do you know how it matters to Russia to disrupt number one country in Africa? Do you know how it matters to Russia to cause chaos in the most populous black nation in the world? And then swoop in as the angel who actually quelled that particular chaos. This is what Russia do around the world. They cause problem and they come in like the angel to solve that problem. And everybody's singing praises of them as the hero. Hero don't cause problem, they solve problem. But this particular hero, they cause the problem. They incite most of these things from the start. And I keep telling you guys, these already have hands of foreign agents all over it. Sowore have no idea what he's doing. The guy has no idea of nothing but to make noise. But just because somebody know how to make noise Just because someone know how to recognize problem, just because someone know how to agitate, have grievances, that doesn't necessarily mean that he has solutions. The easiest path is to agitate, make noise, see problem, identify issues, and cry out loud. That is often easy. But tell these knuckleheads to provide solutions, they have no idea. They have no idea how solution really works. You know, I have a video that I intend to dissect. Today, Sowore appeared on the Arise News. Okay? The only interest I have in this is the fact that for someone who is known to have successfully carried out multiple protests in Nigeria peacefully, maybe he knows better than I do. I've said enough that I can. Yes, forget the fact that he is in politics. Now he's a politician. Just listen to the idea about protest. If you truly
change, there is no room
peacefully
for military takeover of government in Nigeria. We have gone under military rule for several years. If it was a solution since 1996 or till 1999, Nigeria would have been Dorado. So for the courage with which you speak, you did this out to defense. I was quite pleased with that, along with your colleagues on this program. Now, on Wednesday, just on the 2nd of August, before the protest began, I saw many people, including some of your colleagues, calling for peaceful protests, emphasizing that the Constitution guaranteed the right to peaceful protests. I found myself in a very difficult situation because, Ruben, more than anybody else, you and I have interfaced even during protests in front of Guardian newspapers. I have led so many countless protests, whether in the public sector, in the private sector, at the national level. However, I did say then, that was on the 2nd of August, like, let nobody talk about peaceful protest.
Right. I'll take this back a little bit.
Military for several years. If it was a solution since 1996 or till 1999, Nigeria would have been Dorado. So for the courage with which you speak, you did this out to defense. I was quite pleased with that, along with your colleagues on this program. Now, on Wednesday, just on the 2nd of August, before the protest began, I saw many people, including some of your colleagues, calling for peaceful, the right to peaceful protest.
Okay, I'll stop right there because this is exactly what I told you earlier. You know. Now, for one thing, yes, people on the media can actually encourage a peaceful protest, but they cannot be behind any protest. It's two different things. You can encourage and actually, let people understand that, of their right to exercise is to peacefully protest. But you cannot be behind a particular protest, as in be a voice of faith behind a particular protest. You don't have to choose a side during the protest. Yes, you can. This is what I mean. It's just like when you say people should go out and vote. That doesn't mean that you are telling them to vote for a certain person. In the media, we can actually encourage people to vote, but we cannot tell you who to vote for. It's the same way we can actually emphasize your right to express yourself in a protest peacefully, but we cannot be behind a particular protest. And that is the mistake they made in Arise News. That is the mistake they made. I am explaining these things to you from a journalistic angle. They can express that you have right
to peacefully protest, but they do not have within the ethics of their job to sponsor or promote a particular protest. Be it hunger protest, be it end bad government, be it day of rage or whatever the name they want to call it. It is not within the ethics of journalism to promote any of this. Just like we can actually promote voting rights, that you have the right to go out and vote. We cannot tell you to vote for Atiku, Peter Obi, or Tinubu. That is beyond the limit of ethics. But many in Arise News did not follow this simple rule.
I found myself in a very difficult situation because, Ruben, more than anybody else, you and I have interfaced even during protests in front of Guardian newspapers. I have led so many countless protests, whether in the public sector, in the private sector, at the national level. However, I did say then, that was on the 2nd of August, like, let nobody talk about peaceful protest. It is impossible. Why did I say that? Whereas I recognize the right to peaceful protest, which I exploited and I enjoyed it, I expanded it, I practicalized it. I also said, when you exercise those rights to protest, we must also look at what are the demands. And I'm happy that I said, after seeing, because these people are faceless, I look at the totality of the different voices we can put together from the social media, and I said, my summary, a lot of guys, I have hunger, unemployment. What they actually ask is for is regime change, demand regime change under the Nigeria Constitution, and that those who have lost presidential election, those two candidates who spoke in favor of so-called pit of the NLC and at different fora, each of these guys lecture me about the need to avoid, quote, miscreant, quote, hoodlum from taking over whatever.
Okay, I'm going to go on while. If you must know, he's referring specifically to Sowore and others. That during his NLC day, when he was organizing protests, they were asking him categorically to see how they can avoid miscreants who will inject themselves into the protest and change the face of the protest. For any of you who have been part of protests in the past, okay, you will understand that these always happen. It's not new. You will always have some people with different motives that will inject themselves to their protest. I'll give you an example. Criminals who are locked up behind bars. We organize from behind bars how their people can infuse into protest and liberate them from the prison. And that is why you see the last time during NSAS that they broke into the prison yard and freed so many prisoners. A protester or a leading party in a protest should understand these basics. That people are out there that will take advantage of it. And that's what I was saying earlier. Especially the moment you said there will be a change of regime. Who in the world lists that on an agenda of a protest and then you call it peaceful? How in the world is that going to be peaceful? That is a coup you guys are calling for. You imagine to take part in a coup and you want it to be peaceful. How foolish can you be? How idiotic can you be to say revolution now and then you say it must be peaceful? Really? Are you that dumb? You're calling for revolution now And then you are asking for it to be peaceful. And then some of you, this miscreant, also name some part of that protest a day of rage. Rage against who? Against the police? The military? Who will definitely come out in favor of the government of the day? And you know this. Rage against who? And then suddenly, some of you really want everybody to believe it's going to be peaceful. And now that it turned out to become a looting adventure, that it turned out to become a destructive adventure, the same fools who led this nonsense, like Sowore, came out and started saying that it is the government who are causing the mayhem. Now listen to Oshomole, the same Sowore in the past, asking to make sure that miscreants don't mix up with the protest. If he is not aware that protests usually turn out ugly, why will he be asking that kind of question? Every one of us that have led one protest or the other, even during the school days with the student union, we knew there will always be miscreants once you took into the street who will be injecting themselves into the protest for their own agenda. Criminals will use it for their own agenda to invade the police station so that they can steal gun and use it to rob people. If you don't know this as protest leaders, you must be a complete delusional idiot. I really don't blame fools who follow these miscreants because they don't know any better. And we try to ask them to stay in classroom to know some of their civic responsibility before actually charging themselves out to protest. So that when people tell them this, learn civic responsibilities, learn what and how to attack governments in a peaceful manner. Before you do so, they suddenly label you as supporters of Tinubu. What a bull crap! Because somebody wants your safety means that he is supporting it. I don't get this. It's never been like this with us. Before every protest, we usually carry out trainings. I'm serious. Real trainings of how to cocktail crowd. How to make sure you tame the crowd towards a particular mission. We literally have foot soldiers that will tame the crowd. And when you are going along the street, you literally have hands clawed together. Our hands literally has to be clawed together in a long line to block the street so that nobody behind the crowd will move ahead of the crowd. So that the leaders of the protest will always be at the forefront. Tell me, any of these protests that you see that have that kind of organized movement, there will be detailed soldiers. I mean, I'm talking about civilians who are part of the organizers of the protest, literally in front, in the middle, and at the back of the protest to make sure that people are literally being tamed. And every time you spot any foreign agent trying to infiltrate the protest, what do? We divert attention to that and quench that particular problem right immediately. This particular protest has no strategic plan, none whatsoever. And that is why I warned from the earlier and from the outset, no, I want to be part of many protests, but not this one. This is crazy. This is foolish from the start.
And I said, sociologically, it is absolutely impossible for an amorphous group, I emphasize amorphous, in the sense that, and it's not a degrading word, amorphous is that they are not organized, they are not structured, the faces are unknown,
Chaotic.
They talk from time to time, different guys talk, both within the country and outside the country, And so who are you going to engage? And they are not accountable to anyone. They are not elected by anyone to whom they will report to.
In fact, when I mentioned this part that Peter Obi should take up the mount to actually lead this particular protest, so that this protest we have a better reputation, a face leading it. One of these fools, these miscreants, come on my page and actually commented, if I can remember very well, that so you want Peter Obi to suddenly hijack the protest and now, so that means literally these fools are fighting onto who is going to actually take the kudos and the credit of the protest. They're fighting over who the leader is, so that at the end of the day, if they actually accomplish a particular result, they will now be fighting over who is going to take that credit. If you are already fighting on who to take credit of a protest, do you see where I'm coming from here? Do you see how confused, how completely idiotic this idea was from the start? That they were literally fighting on who is going to take the credit for the face of this protest. That is why you have them all over the place, not coming together as a gang. This one is speaking from abroad. That one is speaking from Lagos. The other one is speaking from Kaduna. None of them were able to merge as a group. The NLC wasn't involved. The TUC wasn't involved. All the reputable organizations behind protests, real protests. I'm talking about real protests, not those who sponsored NSAS. Because it's the same thing with the NSAS. If it is well organized, it will turn out to become what it is. Because days before the soldiers were involved in the toll gate, there has been destruction of property, looting of stores, regular stores, not even government properties. Regular humans on the market in Nigeria were being looted. Days into the NSAS, even before the soldiers at the toll gate did what they did. So don't come here and tell me that the NSAS was organized. It was also started by the same miscreants, fools, who doesn't have any organization, any proper structure. If we engage ourselves in unstructured, chaotic settings like this, then who are we? Who are we to challenge any government? Because if we can't manage something as simple as protest to be peaceful, who are you to challenge any of the government of the day today? Because you are no different. And Omoyele Sowore is busy cashing out. Busy cashing out at your expense.
So at what point do we start? At what point do we stop? And where was the forum where they gathered to meet and agree on this demand? And my summary of it is that what they were demanding cannot be achieved peacefully, and it was illegal demand to demand regime change. Because also some of them say, for example, they want to revise a repeal of the 1999 Constitution. And I said, you cannot peacefully demand that, because the power to change the 1999 Constitution, if that is what Nigeria wants, is not vested in the president of Nigeria. The only way to amend the Nigeria Constitution is as provided for in the Nigeria Constitution. That power is not with the executive. That power is not even with the federal legislature alone. That power has to be shared by both national and state legislatures. And a lot of eminent Nigeria, women in Nigeria, even though I don't agree with them, have canvassed various ways whether we should return back to regionalism, whether we should report back to parliamentary system. All those are legitimate ways to express people's opinion. But I see confusion among the elite because it is.
Look, this is one thing we do best. Oversabi. Nigerians oversabi. Believe it. Look, a lot of African countries say this. Yeah, but they say it sometimes out of envy. But I am a Nigerian, and I am telling you that one of our problems is oversabi. this technical know-how, who knows everything but knows nothing. Everybody has solutions. Everybody can speak at the top of the noise. But trust me, none of those solutions you've heard out there is a terrible solution. But none of it really works with Nigerian system. Because our problem is not just about governing. It's not government. It's who we are. Our problem is basically who we are. When I said a while ago that every home, every human in Nigerian is basically embedded in corruption, some of you were fighting. I see you. What is it talking about? Is in our culture to strive for the head. When you become the head, it is also embedded in our mentality and in our culture to oppress. Period. And when you have those things embedded in us to strive for power, and when you gain power, you use it to oppress. That's who we are. And that's what we need to change. Unless we change that, even those who are clamoring for change today in Nigeria, if they gain power, they won't do anything different. You see an average Nigerian citizen on the street fighting, exchanging words, and you quickly hear them saying, "Do you know who I am?" Why will any Nigerian citizen on a Nigerian soil be asking the other one who he is? Who the heck care who you are? Who the heck should care who you are? Whoever you be for yourself. Nobody cares. But that's us. Quickly, we ask, "Do you know who I am? You know who I be?" Why do you think we do that? Because it is innate, drilled into our sentiment to actually impose ourselves on each other. As Africans, as Nigerians, to reach for power, gain the power, and use it against the other. Why do you think you make your first quid, your first millions, billions, and the next idea that comes to your mind is to buy Porsche, a flashy car? You didn't think about investing that money. The first idea in your mind is to buy a flashy car. Why do you think that? Because you want to oppress your other Nigerian. Why do you think your first billion that you made, money enough to buy a whole estate to accommodate other Nigerians, to be able to help them to pay lower rentage? You didn't do that. You went straight. Money enough to buy a whole estate. You used that money to buy 2-bedroom apartments in Aja. Why is that? Because you would rather stick it up to the faces of your neighbors that you have arrived than actually doing something that will help your community. Helping the community is not the first instinct of Nigerians. Oppressing the community is our first instinct. It's our very first instinct. Innate in everybody. We need to reorientate ourselves to de-escalate from this mentality in order for our society to be cleansed, in order for us to have good governance. If we don't do that as a society, to de-escalate from the mentality of oppression, mentality of a rat race, the moment a particular rat survives, they oppress the others, not help the others. Our first instinct is to oppress. We come out of a community, we don't think about helping that community. Our first instinct is to oppress that community. Buy a flash car, buy a big house, so that they can say, babao, yao, and bow to you. That is our first instinct as Africans. It's not totally our fault. It was embedded in our tradition right from the outset. That is why we have kings. That is why we celebrate Obas, Emas, and Obis in the East. We have the ideology of worshiping the big ones among us, the rich ones among us. That's why in the north, there's so many Alumanjaris. Because Alumanjaris do not have the mentality of reaching out for education and be woke and challenge their leaders. No, what they teach them is never to raise their voice to challenge their leaders, but to go out on the street on a daily basis and beg for food. And in Yoruba land, in the West, the mentality is often to celebrate the Obas, the chiefs, Babao, Babake, Babao Loye. That's the mentality. And in the East, it's the same. It's the same. Ababola. Too much money. Why do you think we descend so low into loving that song? Why? Because the mentality is to celebrate those who are rich and powerful among us, no matter how they actually accumulate that rich. It doesn't really matter. Steal government money, rob people. As long as you arrive at the top, they will celebrate you. That's what we do. You would think that you must be crazy to think that we will have that kind of mentality at the grassroots level and you think your government will be different. Look, as much as I am about antagonizing the government of the day, asking for change in Nigeria, what will really help Nigeria to change is not from the top. It's from the grassroots, reorientation, rehabilitation of our thinking, our mentality, how we see each other. I dream for a Nigerian where a billionaire will park his car and walk into the market and mingle with the regular people like they are the same. I want to be able to see Nigerian where no one on the street is telling the other one, "Will you know who I be?" Asking, "Do you know who I am?" Because I don't want a situation whereby anyone will care who you are. You are no different from any regular man on the street. We've seen examples of prime ministers around the world riding bikes to their offices, taking train to their offices. Joe Biden, how many times when he was in the Senate, took train to Washington? Even as a vice president, several times without number took train. But when the burden became too much for the train officials to be accommodating the Secret Service every now and then, they told him, "You need to stop." But here's what I'm saying. We need people at the top to behave like regular people. We don't want a situation whereby all we do is celebrate people because they are rich. It doesn't matter where they get the money from, we will celebrate them. Even in our churches, they encourage these things. They don't care where you get your money from, as long as you figure a tent. These fools, the so-called pastors, greedy fools, they don't really care where you get the money from, as long as you bring it to the church. We celebrate rich ones among us, even if they get money in a dirty means, through a bloody means. We don't care. Unless we change that mentality, we're going nowhere. Even if Sowore become the president of Nigeria today, he will not be different from what we are experiencing. If he can't get his way, he will force his way. And that's not democracy. If Peter Obi become the president today, most of the things he promised you is impossible unless he forced it. And the moment he starts forcing it, that's not democracy. That's already dictatorship. Most of the things that our government do is to enforce it. They are not willingly setting things so that people will actually abide into it. Exactly how democracy should work. They enforce it. And they have to, because that's who we are. Nigerians can't be begged into doing things. We love being forced into doing it. Imagine how many times people have been warned not to throw trash on the streets in Nigeria. Do they really care? But if a soldier carry koboko, whip them on their back, they won't throw trash on the street. That's who we are. Animalistic. You don't have to like the truth. I don't care as well. But that's who we are. Unless we change these rudimentary, these basics, these backgrounds, we're going nowhere. We're going nowhere. Those today who are agitating, give them the same mantle of power. They will do exactly, if not worse, than what the government of the day is doing. Because our problem, our problem is from the roots. A lot of you want yourselves to believe that the fish is rotten from the head. But unfortunately, the Nigerian problem is from the roots, from the basics of our mentality, things we believe in, things we celebrate among us. I'll let this guy speak for a while before I end the show.
This same elite, including a good section of the media, that celebrated Rotimi Williams, 21-man wise men, who ordered the military after consulting Nigerians, quote and unquote, those Nigerians are the elite, the speaking class, those who are invited to conferences, who told us that given Nigeria experiences that led to the overthrow of the parliamentary system in 1996, but we now need to have a strong president, a strong center. And so they move away from the parliamentary system to presidential system. And they enumerated how beautiful the American system is. And so here we are. If people, for whatever reason, and these are not things that are done by people carrying sticks, people carry green leaves. This has to be done by people who are really seasoned and who are knowledgeable about those issues. Now, what has the 1999 Constitution do with the fact of fuel subsidy? What has it gone to do with the fact that somebody is hungry? If you change overnight, assuming it's about changing from NEPA to generator, will that bring food on the table? No. Those canvassing these views, I was clear, are not those guys who are hungry. I saw a young man in Plateau, and I was excited that young man, we shouldn't be more than 22, 25. And he looked like a graduate, by the way, listening to his language. He said, we have spoken. We don't want this to get out of hand after the first day. I believe the president has listened. Now, the second question is about the president's speech. I commend wholeheartedly from the bottom of the patience of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the way in which he addressed those issues. Now, let me
quickly address some of those people who are condemning the president's speech. Do you expect anything different? I said earlier, these people are not about solving Nigeria problem. It doesn't matter what the president say or do. Now, let me put this specifically. It doesn't really matter what this particular president do. Most of the faces leading this protest do not care, because that will not give them the self-aggrandizement that they are craving for. If this president put all the solution needed on the table and resolve Nigerian problem, that doesn't solve their problem, because their problem has never been your problem. Their problem has never been Nigeria's problem. Their problem has always been selfish and personal. And I always tell you guys this. It doesn't matter what Tinubu say or do. It does not matter at all. Those who lead this protest from the start were selfish. It's all about them. It's all about their fame. It's all about cashing out, selling merchandise. Do you know how much Sowore and his organizations have made in March since the beginning of this protest? Exactly has he cashed out during the NSAS. And because he made so much money with the NSAS, he started this revolution now. About 5 years ago, he's been singing this revolution now thing. Because the money was so good. Now they think, you know what? This can become a life adventure. Some of you guys don't know. Some of you fools just follow like sheep, like zombies. You don't know the reality. They are cashing out at your expense. That it does not matter what this president say. It does not matter what this president do. They won't stop, because the idea has never been about you guys. The idea behind this protest has never been about little men on the street, little women on the street, little and poor people on the street. It has always been about them and them alone.
Explain why.
All right.
He tried to first he acknowledged that there is hardship in the country. He didn't dismiss it. It's important that a leader acknowledge the legitimacy of what people are saying. However, he said, I have listened. I have heard you. A leader, a father who is talking to children who are crying. My children, I have heard you. I have listened. Stop crying. I will do something. There is no, if today I am the president, if today you are faced overnight with those numbers, I say, we are hungry today. What do you do today? In any case, the immediate thing the president has to do, which some of us don't even agree to.
All right.
We now have to see governors, president commissioning distribution of rice. I would like to see commissioning of industrial, of factories that will provide job, commissioning return to agriculture. But the government of President Tinubu had to resort to what they now call palliatives, which has become a new source of candor in many states.
Yes, Senator, thank you so much for your
Thank you.
I think a number of things that, hearing from your response to the first question, is that there might be a mix of those who have this, because for those people, it wasn't a regime change in particular they were looking at. And with regards to their demands, that was the number one. Hunger that the president to tackle. In fact, in some cases.
Okay. You see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying now? How foolish and deluded these people really are. Okay? Now, who doesn't know that hunger featured prominently as the agenda of the protest? Who doesn't know that? Who doesn't really know that? But you were saying now that if a bowl of tea, okay? Now, let me say, a bowl of jollof rice, a very palatable jollof rice is put in front of you. A bowl of jollof rice is right in front of you. And a drop of poison, just a drop, is right on that rice. That makes that rice edible. That makes it something you will start eating. That little drop of poison already messed up the whole bowl of jollof rice. Simply because the prominent face of this protest is hunger. Doesn't justify that everybody should go on this street at this particular time. The moment you already spot some dark agent sponsoring these protests, The idea is to fall back and replan and regroup. That is a reasonable idea, of course. But these fools will continue the same narratives.
This was called the hunger protest. So that didn't have a conversation around regime change. Cost of living crisis, insecurity were issues that were raised with regards to why people were going out to protest. So that it was just particularly about ending a regime is not.
What's the name of the protest, please? Tell me. Are you as smart as you are? You know, I hate attacking women on the platform. You know, because quickly in these days, that will make me a misogynist. But Ayo, tell me, what is the name of this protest? I have one for you. End bad government. They didn't say hunger protest. I've never seen end hunger protest. But the most popular name of this particular protest that Sowore and the other fools have been parading is end bad government, not end hunger. I'll give you another one, okay? The day of rage. The day of rage. Yeah, smart pants. Go on.
Factual, it's not accurate. Then with regards to who are those who were the leaders, if you look at Occupy Nigeria, who were the leaders of Occupy Nigeria?
Who are Occupy Nigeria? Who? Unbelievable. Who are these Occupy Nigeria? Go ask people in the villages who Occupy Nigeria are. And this is what gets me every time. How delusional we are. Thinking that once a particular name is popular on social media, suddenly every Nigerian is buying into it. Who Occupy Nigeria? To an average man and women in the villages who doesn't have access to social media. Who the heck is Occupy Nigeria? You see how foolish you are, Ayo? That suddenly, because you have presence on social media, these Occupy Nigeria have presence on social media, suddenly everybody in Nigeria should have known them by now. Who is Occupy Nigeria? To an average men and women in villages in Nigeria. Average market women who doesn't have access to smartphones. Because believe it, you need smartphone to be able to go on social media.
There are similarities here because there were many figures whose faces were, in front of that protest. There were not many people who came out to say that they're the ones who were in charge of fronting or consulting with the people to come out with demands. The people had a shared challenge and shared purpose, and they came out to protest, which was the same thing that happened.
Name the faces.
And so coming back to what you said, as a comrade yourself who exploited.
Name the faces leading this protest that has as much popularity as Oshiomhole. I'm not talking about when Oshiomhole now become a politician. When Oshiomhole was Oshiomhole in the NLC. Name one person in this particular protest that has the caliber of movement that Oshiomhole will pull. Name one person. Stop deceiving yourself just because you have platform on social media. That means nothing to average Nigerians.
The opportunity and the constitutional provision for peaceful protests. It's interesting to hear you now for an end of regime. That wasn't really the thing, because Senator Oshiomhole and Nigerians hungry.
And this is what gets me about this media, these so-called journalists or reporters or whatever call themselves. They never know how to be able to tread that line between bias and journalism. When a protest was labeled end bad government. And you said it's not about changing regime. How about end hunger protest? How about end hunger protest? But they didn't name it end hunger. They named it end bad governance. Oh, they're going to come back now and tell me end bad governance does not necessarily mean change of regime. But why going there in the first place? If it's not about changing regime, why going there when we already knew that the reason why people want to take to the street is because of hunger? Why is hunger not the main epitome of that particular name or label for the protest? Why is it not named End Hunger Protest? Let's be sincere to ourselves for once. Stop fooling around, guys. This is not child's play. People's lives are involved. And intense now, people have died.
The level of poverty, has it increased since Occupy Nigeria protests, where our situation is not worse now than they were then? Do you think people are justified to come out and peacefully protest, not to necessarily remove the government of the day, but to express themselves and to have their voices heard?
Unbelievable. Occupy Nigeria protest. She keep mentioning that name as if that name is irrelevant. It's completely significant anywhere. Nobody cares. Nobody really knows these people. That's what we keep telling you. Yes, you have presence on social media, on real ground in Nigeria, villages to villages, house to houses. Nobody knows these names. The NLC in the last few days shut down Nigeria. Shut down Nigeria. The TUC the same. And you think in your own foolishness that you can successfully carry out a protest in Nigeria without involving NLC and TUC. That you can actually shut down Nigeria without involving these groups. Can you fire with me? Wole Soyinka, even Tinubu himself, in the past, always involved NLC and TUC whenever they really seriously want to do something in Nigeria. You cannot successfully protest in Nigeria unless you engage these bodies. You do not want to protest in the street alone. You want to make sure that people do not engage in their daily activities, stop working, and also come to the street and join you. How do you achieve all that without engaging the NLC, without engaging the TUC, and other reputable organizations mentioned Occupy Nigeria? Who the heck is Occupy Nigeria? If I say Ayo is a fool now for actually suggesting Occupy Nigeria as a popular group in Nigeria, you think that I'm being misogynist. Of course, his colleague, who is a man on that show, will say something even worse than that. You see.
Ayo, thank you very much. I watch you every day, and I have the opportunity to engage with you today. You've been doing a fantastic job. I don't always agree with your views, but that's what makes democracy rich and robust, and we must defend it, the right to differ. Your evaluation with due respect, with profound respect, is wrong. As the Yorubas, my part of the country, Edo people will say, and I think Abiola of blessed memory popularizes, that when you see some birds dancing on the highway, the drummers are not far from the bush. Without those drummers, those birds will not dance. Now, it is not about whether there is hunger. I said so. If the president acknowledges it, who are you and I to deny it? That is not the issue. The issue is the people use what they see as what everybody can feel. And why do you think that President Tinubu resorted to giving state government 570 billion naira to
Okay, hold on there. Okay, because I said severally on this show that these guys should make sure they are more organized and details into actually challenging the governors of the state. 500 plus billions has been shared to states in this country to share palliatives. Many of these people do not share this money or buy anything or do anything with it. Some of them are dancing around in their states. Whereas even rice, trailer loads of rice that went to this state, some of these governors still keep some of this rice in storage. In storages around their state. A video was circulated in this particular protest where one of the storage were looted and they were accusing the governor of Edo State of actually hoarding the rice that was supposed to be distributed to people. And that's why I said earlier, if this protest was really sincere, was really sincere, it wouldn't be about end the bad government. It would be about end hunger. And the idea would be to go after the governors, not Tinubu's regime. Tinubu's regime may be problematic, but he has done enough for these governors to have relieved their states. But some of them, especially some of them that are in the opposition party like PDP, they didn't want to do anything because that would give credence to Tinubu's government. Even after Tinubu's government took the state governors to the court with their issue with the local government, and the Supreme Court actually addressed that issue and allowed the local government to have autonomous power. Yet, Makinde of Oyo State, who is a PDP person, rally around his own local governments and make sure that they pull out of the local government organization in Nigeria so that he will be able to totally control as he usually does. And the power won't go to the local government. Now, let me quickly explain this autonomous power to you. Some of you who expect that the president should be able to do everything, this is where you are wrong. Every state governors have autonomous power in their state. That means once their federal allocation is due, the president has no choice but to pay. He has to pay. And even if the president pays, the president of the country has no right whatsoever embedded in any constitution to control how they spend the money. That means the governors have the autonomous power to spend as they like. And no president can challenge that. And many of your governors have been receiving federal allocations from the federal government, pocketing it, not doing anything with it. None of you have balls to challenge them. It's easier for you to scream the names of Tinubu than actually challenging any of these fools who call themselves governors. The same autonomous power now bestowed upon the local government recently, that means in that local government, the governor of the state cannot tell the local governor or the local chairman what to do or what not to do. They cannot control the local governments. The local chairman can give any state governors a middle finger. If he thinks that, look, what you are trying to do in my local government is not benefiting my local government, I have to do it my way. That is how it works. That is federalism. Yes, president can declare a state of emergency and thereby take over a state. The governor as well can declare a state of emergency in the local government and thereby take over a local government. But you cannot declare a state of emergency unless there are true criteria for state of emergency. This is why I keep telling you guys on social media, go back to classroom and learn basic civic responsibilities, civic organization, how your government is structured and how it really works. You cannot challenge the government unless you know these basics. You cannot agitate unless you know these basics. 500 billion plus distributed to these state governors. What have they done with it?
To do quick win palliatives. Why has it become suddenly? In my days, I don't know how many times President Obasanjo, when I was NSC president, went to buy rights to distribute to Nigerians. He said, well, I should go and farm, which is the legitimate thing to do. But this government, realizing the pain, has how to resort to these measures in the short run. In the long run, it has to be that we produce what we eat and we eat what we produce. But this cannot be decreed by 10 days protesters. The president has spoken. Why I said it is not legitimate, and I have no question about that. At no time in my protest history did I demand that there should be regime change. If I see politicians try to hijack by their comments and so on, I was always quick to say, look, we are not here to change the policymaker. We are here to, excuse me, Ayo, you have to harass me.
Yes, I just
That's the problem.
Because that's the question I asked you. Who asked?
They are first, and I said, understand me. No. The point, my summary, you didn't take note of it.
Unbelievable.
And I want to repeat it again.
Please go ahead.
When you have an amorphous group, unknown faces, now you refer to Occupy Nigeria. I saw people like a pastor who had contested for vice president with
Pastor Bakare.
he was a pastor in Lagos. I can't remember
Pastor
his name.
Bakare.
It's no name.
Bakare.
Nameless. But move
Yes.
on.
And you will recall when I was in NLC, not only is my face known, we share platform with Professor Wole Soyinka now at 90. I'm happy he's aging gracefully and God will continue to bless him and give him good health. I share platform with Femi Falana. I share platform with Beko Rasomkuti or something like that. One of the Bekos who was very active, a medical doctor.
Yes.
And I remember on one occasion on the front of Alausa, Ganifa Emi collapsed in the course of addressing workers. So these are Nigerians that are known. They have responsibility.
But sir, EIE Nigeria came out.
For
Sir,
human rights.
Sir,
Wait, he spoke for
I just want to just challenge that point.
in this occasion,
Yes,
excuse
sir.
me.
I just
even
want to-
the name, excuse me.
Yes,
You
okay.
can challenge anything, but you must listen to my point.
I've
No.
listened.
This is meant to be an engagement. You know, a question, excuse me, a question cannot be as long as the answer. The answer must be longer than the question. Check yours when you were a student. When they ask you one question, you use pages to answer it. So give me the time, because Nigeria need to understand why a man who lived my background refused to acknowledge that a peaceful protest can be used for regime change. I emphasize regime change because I understand the logic. I led from the front. These people you are mentioning, I don't know them. If I don't know them,
You don't know EIE Nigeria?
I don't know their faces.
Who the heck
And
are
I'm
they?
happy that, listen, excuse me?
You don't know EIE Nigeria? Take it back
Who
to
the heck
Nigeria.
are they?
Now, it was a thing about Nigeria. I said, who has occupied Nigeria? In fact, this was the one that suggests that people wanted regime change. When they say we want to reclaim Nigeria, I said, is Nigeria currently under foreign authority? Is Nigeria?
And you are trying to
is,
reclaim Nigeria.
Tinubu not a Nigerian? The Southwest he come from, is it not part of Nigeria? Who is that guy? Who are those groups who wants to reclaim Nigeria for Nigeria? And
And this is the problem. The stance of Arise News has always been very biased. Who are you to defend? Sorry. My microphone. Okay? I'm so agitated that my microphone is jumping all over the place. Now, who are you to defend Occupy Nigeria? As media. Who are you to defend NIA? Who the heck are these people? These organizations are just miscreants. Very small organization that doesn't have any impact. They have no impact unless they are on social media. Yet they can move some very little group from social media here and there. but they don't have impact as far as Nigeria is concerned. And really, they can actually have impact if they want to, but they didn't want to go that route. They can engage the NLC, just like any other group in the past have engaged NLC of this particular guy here, Oshomole, in order to be able to have an impact. You see how this is what really get me tired. She keep mentioning these Occupy Nigeria and NIN. And everything this group have hands in so far in Nigeria is nothing but shambles. They have not been part of any successful protest. Period. Occupy Nigeria. The same Occupy Nigeria who organized Take It Back. Take what back? From who? Some foreign countries steal something from you in Nigeria? We went through an election. You guys were unhappy with it. Just like Make America Great in Nigeria, I do not see Occupy Nigeria different. They are not different. Now tell me any American, which American is going to recognize Make America Great Nigeria in America as one important group that can actually have impact in America? The last time Make America Great in America sponsor any protest in America landed thousands of them in a jail where they attempted to invade the capital of the US. Occupy Nigeria is not different from Make America Great in America. These miscreants have never been about people. It has always been about centered and selfish agendas. Occupy Nigeria behind, take it back. Take what back? Really, take what back? These are election deniers. Just like the Make America Great in America, who are election deniers themselves. The Occupy Nigeria are nothing but election deniers who think a man coming from the third place wins the election. The same as the MAGA, Make America Great in America, thought that Donald Trump won the election in 2020. These guys are no different. And you see the foolery of Ayo. You see how foolery, expecting Nigerians to buy into Occupy Nigeria that has been selfish and self-centered all the way since 2023 election. Please, unbelievable. You're talking about reputable organization that actually organize protests, mentioning Occupy Nigeria. Really? Unbelievable. I'm even saying these people can actually make and have impact. But that is if they bring in the right group to be with them. They didn't inform NLC about this protest. They didn't contact TUC about this protest.
Excuse me, all the names you mentioned here, I listen attentively. I don't even know if I don't know some of these faces. At no time did they sat on a common platform to say this is who we are. Excuse me, the business of governance is not a tea party. Okay. I want to ask.
So, Arise News has to start looking to some maturity on its sets. Trust me. Because these are just kids on the block who has no clue. Trust me, as much as they like to agitate on behalf of the people, they have no clue how anything works. No reputable human being in his right sense will be advocating for Occupy Nigeria. Period. These are insignificant group. Yes. Presence on the social media, but nobody, as far as Nigeria itself is concerned, when they're talking about real people, nobody in their right mature sense will be advocating for Occupy Nigeria on the TV channel. like Arise News, and yet you said you want to compete with Channels News. Really? You want to compete with Channels? Forget it.
Some people say Tinubu, excuse me, because at the heart of the question by Ruben was President Tinubu's response appropriate? I say yes. What was summarized?
Okay, comrade.
I have heard you.
Comrade,
I have listened.
Comrade.
I am open to dialogue.
Comrade.
Even that one. I saw people saying, set up a panel to negotiate. To negotiate with people who are in Washington, people who don't know their address. You may know them. I don't know them.
Comrade.
Yes.
This is Rufai. This is Rufai speaking.
Before I let Rufai speak, and this is what I keep saying, just because you guys know these guys on social medias, that doesn't mean that they exist. I will say this again. Less than 3% of Nigerians have access to social media. And these 3%, not all of them are on X. They are divided all over the place. On Facebook, on YouTube, well, no, let me even count YouTube. On Facebook, on X, on TikTok, and maybe some others. On Instagram. But most people on Instagram and TikTok, they don't care about politics. All they care about is to dance or to watch people who are naked, who are half nude and dance around. That's all they care about. These kids don't care about politics. Yeah, they get distracted sometimes and listen to some of you, but that doesn't mean they care about politics. Why they are on social media is never about politics. So I will remind you fools again, just because Occupy Nigeria is popular among you because you have presence on social media, that doesn't mean it means anything to Nigerians. Because an average Nigerians, about 97% of Nigerians don't really have access or presence on social media. Now I'll let you speak, Mr. Rufai.
Speaking. Yes.
Oh, Rufai, how are you?
Very well. Morning, sir. Comrade, let's fool in Nigeria, because I see we lack a lot of truth, and that's why our lives are never going to be better as a country.
Okay. I would like to rephrase that if you have chance in the future. Maybe your life, okay? Stop cursing out people. Maybe your life, not people's life, will be better, okay? I still strongly believe my Nigeria people life, their life will be better. When you want Bobu, let me about it. Show him more rano.
The day we start to speak the
on
truth,
both sides, yes. Truth is constant. You can't defeat the truth. And that's why I have the courage to speak my mind.
Let me land, comrade. You are saying today that when you people went out for Occupy Nigeria in 2012, the word Occupy, you are blaming...
I wasn't part of it.
No, what is he? What is he talking about? What is this? Oh God. So Sowore went out for Occupy Nigeria. Oh God. Unbelievable. Carry on, Rufai. I know you now.
I'm saying when all these well-meaning Nigerians, including the current president and affiliation with the political party, the APC, went out then protesting against subsidy, you are saying that the word Occupy Nigeria doesn't mean...
How is that Occupy Nigeria? Oh boy, this boy, man. Maybe go marry. Maybe when if you get wife, you go get some sense. Because you get some things where women they help you with. Yeah.
To take over Nigeria. You are saying they didn't probably threaten regime change and all of that. Comrade, the truth has to be said that the group that organizes this protest is not faceless, except you choose to say you don't know them. You are saying you don't know them.
They are faceless. And I will say it again. Just because they have presence on social media doesn't mean that average Nigerian knows them. They are completely faceless because the Nigerians who knew these ones are not up to 5%. Those who have presence on social media. Sowore is not known to average Nigerians.
You are saying you...
Really? Did he just mention Deji Adeyanju? before he finishes his speech, I will find you one of the Adeyoju's video. I should be able to find that video. Unbelievable. Did he just mention Deji Adeyoju? The same Deji Adeyoju who just said recently that Dangote is a useless guy. That Dangote, the same Dangote who invested his money on Nigerians, is a useless guy. And therefore, all the politicians who have been stealing your money away to abroad, they are the good guys, right? You see, when they say who are the faces, he's mentioning Deji Adeyanju. Really? Deji Adeyanju? When I was clamoring here before the protests that Peter Obi should take up the mantle to be the face of the protest, that Atiku Abubakar should try and be the face of the protest. Just imagine if these two were in the forefront of this protest. You want to compare that to how many of these kids on the streets actually protesting that knows the Adeyanju? When we take out to the streets to protest and we see people like Ganifa, they call on for okay. Guess what? Imagine the confidence we feel right from the bottom of our belly when we see faces like Wole Soyinka in front of us. Accomplished Nigerians who have written theses upon theses, articles upon articles that have actually made impact not only in Nigeria but outside Nigeria. And this fool here mentioning Deji Adeyanju. I'm sorry. You guys are completely being misled in Nigeria. And it's unfortunate.
You don't know.
Okay, ring me up, guys. If you know what names that is mentioned.
There are people that have been frontline, civil society activists in this country. These are people that also made impute in other protests. They're a valid group. So let's set that side apart first. When he gave his speech, it was a good speech. A lot of Nigerians say no. If you read that speech, apart from the conciliatory part of, yes, I'm sorry about the fact that people died, which a lot of people blame the president, because if he had come out to speak on time, that protest might not have even hold in the first place.
Let me even bust your bubble. Mayegu, some of you who know Mayegu, the guy from the UK, Mayegu even is more popular than the Adeyanju. Just imagine. I can't believe we can descend this. Look, you are naming names of people who are not accomplished individually, who hasn't written any profound article. Quack lawyers. Those are the people you are comparing to, Ganifa me of this world, Femi Falana of this world, and Wole Soyinka for that matter, a Nobel Laureate winner. Deji Adeyanju. Really? I'm not the kind of guy that I usually pride myself in actually downgrading anybody. But look, this is how Nigeria is set up. For some movement to have credence to it, to have a stamp of authority to it, they need names more than just Deji Adeyanju to it. More than just Omoyele Sowore to it. Yes, Omoyele Sowore would have been a profound name because he has run for Nigerian presidency twice. But all this while this guy is right there in America. It's not even in Nigeria.
But he left it until after people died to come and speak, which was an abdication of responsibility. He now went ahead to rehash promises that we already know. Let me give you empirical facts this morning. As at 2022, Timi Silva's target was to get over 5 million CNG cars on the road. President Tinubu promised 1 million CNGs. That's even a backward walk from Timi Silva's promise. He said he's going to do 10 million hectares. He said he's going to cultivate 500,000 hectares last year. We have not seen the food. Food inflation is still over 40%. He's celebrating the fact.
I will stop right there to explain something. Okay. See, all the promises that Tinubu made that he is emphasizing. What this fool is not telling you is that it is not possible for Tinubu alone to be able to carry this out unless the governors of the state are on board. You just heard on this same show that the government of the states, given 500 billion plus in palliative, have done nothing for their people. So if Tinubu is going to inculcate all these promises, he needs the governors of the state to be on board. And many of the governors who are on the opposition party are working against him because they don't want him to be successful. This is Nigeria. This is Nigeria. But you guys think Rufai is speaking on your behalf? No, he's working for the PDP. This has been clear to many people with sense. All this while, only fools and gullible idiots think that Rufai is speaking on behalf of Nigerians. The
fact that, okay, we have 9.1 trillion now in revenue earnings, that we earn more compared to last year. But don't forget also the fact that you politicians come out to tell us how broke government is. In fact, the deficit is also increasing. He said he's going to do, he's giving over 570 billion to the states. Some of the states came out to say that they've got nothing really.
You see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? They give the state billions of naira. Some of the states came out and said they didn't get it. As a news reporter, a so-called journalist, because he's not a journalist, it's his job to go after these states and inquire, not just listen to the governors who lies every now and then. But go ahead.
We say we are sharing palliative. People can't feel the impact. So a lot of people say it was just another campaign rhetoric, empty on promises and less on impact. And you said that speech was okay.
Where's the question?
So my two questions are.
Can I reply, sir?
Yes, go ahead, sir. You have the floor.
Your two questions, because you spoke at less, so reduce that to two questions.
Yes. The first question is.
What are your two questions, sir?
The people know, you people know the organizers of the protest. Do not say it was faceless because it's been hijacked by people.
Questions.
And ample intelligence was provided that it was going to be hijacked. What did the government do about it? You people know the organizer of it was not a faceless protest. That's the first question. I'm challenging your initial narrative. And I'm saying the president's speech was flawed. And I've given you empirical facts.
One question. Where is the second one?
Excuse me, my dear friend Rufai, I hope to see you in the very near future so we can have tea without or after this session.
And we dance again.
You are entitled to your evaluation. Excuse me. I will dance again. And I have improved even at elder age.
Just so you know,
one thing you have to agree
with one
is that
ranting.
one man's sense of objectivity is another man's idea of objectivity. When people say, I am being factual, as you have claimed, I am being objective. You are objective sometimes only to the extent that you are not aware of your own biases or you are not aware of your own subjectivity. This is fact in social sciences. And to say that one evaluation is standard, any deviant is wrong, it's not valid in social sciences. Now, I told you one word. It's not about all those who want the president mentioned, was just to remind people that he has not been sleeping. If he says he will farm, he will have farm and produce all the food in 1 year. If it was that easy to produce the food in 1 year, from Obasanjo's return to school in his first coming as military government, as a military head of state, I saw him with joy as a villager. I saw a president with them, Chief of General Staff, Yaradua, say school to farm program. I remember President Sheikh Shagari saying, we want green revolution. All these governments have promised this. This man is only in office for 1 year. He outlined what he's going to do. And Rufai, how long did it take to set up a credible, now highly competitive Arise television?
Okay, hold on. Just so you know, he's asking a question from the same set of people that were expecting a change in Nigeria from the very first week. From the very first week of this administration, Rufai and his group expected a change in Nigeria. The very first week. The very first week of Tinubu's administration, they're already challenging and agitating that, oh, Nigeria is already upside down. And so it's not asking them how long it takes for Arise News to prosper. That is not the question you ask these fools. They don't really care about that.
From the day my dear friend conceptualized the idea, and I told him it's impossible. I can reveal to you, I and KK discussed. I said, this man is always it's a reality. It's not just in existence. Arise has become an authoritative national network. Between conceptualization and realization, it takes time. It takes huge time. Now, why I say these people are faceless and that they wanted regime change, I listened to all these names you mentioned, plus others. I don't know them. You can't say I know them because you know them. Now, which Nigeria does not know Wole Soyinka?
Ask them.
Who didn't know Ganifa or
Ask them. Ask them.
Who doesn't know Femi Falana? You see, the issue of...
Really? Really? How deluded can you be, guys? No, this is not disrespect the Sowore, okay? And this is not to totally disrespect Omoyele Sowore. But just because you guys have presence on social media doesn't mean Nigerians know you. Nigerians is far bigger than social media. And this is what I keep telling you every day. Only about 3% of Nigerians have access, active access on social media. As much as you want to create all these stupid narratives, most Nigerians still watch NTA. NTA. Most Nigerians still watch NTA more than they actually participate on social media. You know why? NTA is almost in all local governments. Almost all cities around the country, transmitting government propaganda to people. On the radio, people easily access Voice of Nigeria. You know what Voice of Nigeria is? You see the contrast between social media and reality? Many of you on social media have no idea what Voice of Nigeria is. This is government owns radio, where they actually promote government propaganda that reaches regular Nigerians in the villages, in the outskirts, those who actually participate in voting, in electorates in Nigeria. Occupy Nigeria, NIN, who sabi all those names? Not to disrespect these names, nobody knows them. Voice of Nigeria is a radio that everybody with transistor radio in villages in Nigeria who can put battery in it will listen to before they know any of this. In fact, some of them don't even know Arise News or channels, but they know NTA. They know Voice of Nigeria. Why? Because, yes, these guys are popular in the urban settings, but NTA and Voice of Nigeria knew methods and ways to reach people in the outskirts that Arise News or Channels News cannot get to. In most cases, you need electricity to be able to connect and watch Arise News or channels. You need smart videos, smartphones to be able to connect and watch Arise News and channels, to know Rufai on the social media, to know the Jiadeyoju, to know Sowore, and sometimes to know Salah Blue. It takes people who comes on social media. But you see, real Nigerians who actually participate in votes in different aspects in Nigeria, in different villages, in nooks and crannies of Nigeria, these people have no access to these luxuries. But you know what they have access to? Transistors radio. That small radio that they can easily put AA battery into it and listen to Voice of Nigeria and other radios in the locality that do nothing but government propaganda. So basically, because Rufai is obviously delusional for him to even think that he's that popular. Seriously. How many of you know Rufai until you get to the social media? How many? Please tell me. How many of you know Rufai Oseni until you get to the social media? Oh man, come on.
We know some.
And what I'm telling you now is that most Nigerians, about 95% of Nigerians, are still in the dark. And all they hear is NTA and these mega, propagandas of the governments. And you suddenly think that Occupy Nigeria and Deji Adeyanju can move mountain in Nigeria, even when they fail to involve NLC and TUC. And even Deji Adeyanju himself even confessed that he is not part of this protest. He came out. He was saying, oh yes, he was out in order to be able to organize the protesters, to make sure that everything go in order. But it's not part of the organizers. Deji Adeyanju said that. And this fool here suggested that Deji Adeyanju is part of the organizers, even though Deji Adeyanju himself already said he's not part of the organizers. One of the organizers, Omoyele Sowore, who most of you online knows, is right there in America promoting this nonsense in Nigeria. And when we tell you that it's a faceless, nameless protest, you keep agitating that, yes, it is because I'm supporting Tinubu.
Some individuals. How much trust do those individuals command in the bar of the average Nigerian? Those people carry
Do you know Sowore?
Those people who I know Sowore as a defeated presidential candidate.
Seriously, Rufai is deluded, completely delusional guy. Are you kidding me? All right, I'll move on because that doesn't even deserve my comment. Do you know Sowore?
And when you are due time, Sowore should know. He had interviewed me in Washington, and I met with him. I like what the first online article publisher, Sahara Reporters. What you get from Sahara Reporters, I often wonder, how does he get this information?
Because most of it is made up. Believe it. Because most of it is made. Look, it's easy when you have a big platform to blast people, they will fall for it. Most of it is made up articles and news articles.
In my view, he was at his best. But once he dragged himself into politics and contest election, he has become a politician. And he can choose. So Sowore cannot be seen as speaking. People see him as still noticing the grievances.
Okay, I'm going to stop this interview here. You can watch the rest on the Arise News, But my point is, just because you know these names on social media doesn't mean that they are popular or they are significant in Nigeria. I'll go through the list that Rufai Hussein just provided, even including himself. Rufai Hussein, Adeyanju Deji, Omoyele Sowore, all these names are just nameless as far as Nigerian populace is concerned. Tell me, how many of you have heard these names until you start visiting social media? How many? Now, when I said that this protest is going to go wrong, some of you think that I've been paid. Some of you even say that Tinubu, I wish Tinubu is paying me, but I will eat his money and I will still badmouth him when I needed to badmouth him. I don't care. But this is the fact. When I told you that this protest is going nowhere, it's just another noise, another means for these fools to raise money. I meant it, and I'm serious, and I'm standing by that. And that's exactly what just happened. They are nameless. Just because you know about these people on social media does not mean that they have presence in Nigeria. I will share those facts with you again. The stats is that less than 5% of Nigerians have active presence on social media. How do you reach the 97%? Oh, some of you will go to your villages and spread the news, whereas none of you even know which village you come from. None of you in Lagos there know where you come from, let alone reaching out to them in the villages. Some of us growing up have the privilege of traveling far and wide. Traveling far and wide. Not just to visit relatives, but just because some of us just love adventure. To the east, to the north, to the south, anywhere. How many in Nigeria does that? How many? Many of you are stuck up in the same place where you were born, you grew up there, you know nothing better. And some of you easily think that your father's farmland is the biggest. But until you go to another person's farmland, you never know how small your father's farmland is. Stop thinking and believing that the noises you make on social media is actually reaching all Nigerians. Stop being delusional in that manner. Nobody knows you, guy, unless you have presence on social media. Period. And if you really want to have a tangible protest, you must engage organizations like TUC and NLC. Look, this is one long show. And the reason why I prolonged it this far is because for the first 30 minutes of this show, I was speaking to myself. My microphone wasn't working. Thankfully, somebody from my control room was able to actually alert me. And I was able to get back on track. And thank you for listening. For those of you who didn't stay throughout the end of this show, I also thank you too. I really appreciate your presence. I really appreciate your listening pleasure and your attentiveness all the time. Okay? Thank you. And for those of you that actually hate everything that I said, thank you. Enjoy my middle finger. I don't really care. Okay? This is Code Blue in Nigeria. And this is Sala Blue on OGM News. And I will reach out to you again in a jive when something else come up. Of course, something else always come up in Nigeria. Don't be Nigeria. Nigeria no dey tire. All right, this is Code Blue in Nigeria. And this is Sala Blue on OGM News. Please subscribe, follow, and click the notification bell so that every time I come on, you'll be the first to know that Sala Blue is now at it again. All right, see you around. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and follow on Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter, on Instagram. Is there any social media that OGM is not present? I don't even know. Okay. Anyway, as far as Sala Blue, I'm only present on the Twitter, on TikTok, and on Facebook, and that's it. So you can follow me. Okay, follow me and subscribe. even on YouTube. But I believe OGM is almost everywhere on all the social media. They even call one Quora. Do you guys know Quora? They are on Quora, on Pinterest, on Blue Sky. Do you even know which one is Blue Sky? OGM News is everywhere on social media. Okay, make sure you visit. It's one only media that have presence on the website and every social media. Period. I've never come across any other on the other social media where you will find OGM News Nigeria. All right, guys, this is Code Blue in Nigeria. This is Sala Blue. And I will see in a jave. See you around.
All liars.
What are you talking about? Which politicians are lying?
All of them. Obi is a liar. Tinubu is corrupt. Atiku is very too. All of them. Okay.
Don't argue with me. This is my show. Okay? This is my show. I cannot allow anybody to dictate my show. This is my show. Okay? You can get the heck out of this room. Baba, this is my show. Get the heck out of this room.
I am saying it categorically. All of them are liars. All of them are thieves.